This is going to be a long process. You should know that right off the bat. I started trying to remove social media addiction from my life back in 2022, and I'm still trying to get better with it in 2025. However, I used to spend 9 hours a day between Twitter, or X now, Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, every single day. Oof. But now I'm down to the point where I maybe spend an hour and a half or 2 hours on YouTube a day, and usually half that time or so is me researching for this exact channel. And well, I'm 18, so if you're around my age, this is definitely possible for you. Step 1, before you do anything else, you need to acknowledge the truth. I'm addicted. Because the one truth of addiction is that you can't fight it unless you admit it. And just because you clicked on a video that says social media addiction in the title doesn't mean that you actually believe that you're addicted to social media. You need to truly understand that you're addicted and let that sit in your mind. Here's a definition of addiction that's probably gonna apply to you. Physically and mentally dependent on a particular substance and unable to stop taking it without incurring adverse effects. Your substance is social media, and your adverse effects is anxiety, FOMO, all that jazz. I always had a lot of pride with this part because I was always the person that was perfect. I was always healthy, super fast, super strong, super smart, always got good grades, always was good with money. And so admitting that anything was wrong with me just hurt my ego and my pride. But the only way to get progress into actually being this person I thought I was to admit that I wasn't there yet and that I had problems that I needed to fix. So again, don't forget, it's impossible to fight a social media addiction without admitting you have a social media addiction. You're gonna have to sacrifice here. This is not gonna be some short process like the clickbaity videos I've been telling you. You can't quit an Instagram addiction in a week. It's probably gonna take closer to like 3 months before you feel like you can start feeling like you can control yourself on social media. Just like all things most of the population is struggling with, it's not gonna be an easy process. If everyone's struggling with something, it's not something that can easily be changed. Weird how that works. Okay, now that you understand that this is not going to be easy, it's time for me to say something even more wild to your ears. You need to delete your social media apps. The Snapchat, the Instagram, the TikTok, the rotting trifecta, as I call it. But also X, Reddit, and Facebook. I'll get to the other one in your head at the moment soon. But these apps, unless you have a super good reason, like it's the only way you can contact your family, should not be on your device, because they are just a doom scrolling machine. First, I understand you're gonna have some reservations, but just hear me out. I truly think this is the best thing that you can do. So think about it this way. If you're truly addicted to Instagram and going one day without logging onto the app hurts in some way, like it makes you feel like a little bit of anxiety, you feel like you just have to open up Instagram, you have to see what's going on there, you need to take a multi-month break. You're addicted. There's nothing wrong about Instagram if it's used in moderation, but when it's overused and over-relied on to the point where you can't go a day without feeling like you need to be on Instagram, there's a problem. It's not like we have the willpower to control ourselves to only use Instagram in good, healthy ways. At least not now. The reason you're on this video in the first place is because you don't have the willpower to do that. Just like everyone else, like me too. I'm not trying to single out anyone here and call anyone who can't control themselves losers. Because I mean, maybe you are a loser, but we're all losers. Don't forget that these apps spend millions of dollars optimizing the amount of dopamine that you get and how addicting the apps are, so that you will stay on these apps for 9 hours a day to give them as much attention and as much moolah as possible. So many that quit these apps talk about it as a peaceful and bliss experience afterwards. I know that my life became a lot less distracting and a lot more peaceful when I wasn't constantly logging on for Instagram stories and news snaps and constantly logging on to see the absolute crazy environment that X brings. So, now that you're at least listening to me, let me give you the best way I found in my experience to go about deleting these apps. Because it's not to just sign on and delete all of them. I found that quickly leads to you re-downloading all the apps, or finding a way to be back on one of those apps and to convince your brain logically that it's okay, you've got reasons to go back on TikTok. But deleting one app at a time, say TikTok, most of the time led me to spending time on the other apps. But I was actually okay with that, because I knew that TikTok was way worse than the other social media apps. So then after 1 or 2 weeks, you move on to the next app and remove it, and then the next app, and then the next app, and the next app, until you're at a point when it's just you and YouTube left. And while it's less destructive than the other apps, we still need to talk about that. Hey, this will be pretty fun. Let me set out a social media hierarchy for your removal. So at the very, very bottom here, YouTube. But at the very, very top here, YT, YouTube, also right up here. We got YouTube long form at the lowest priority for your removal outside of the pyramid. But YouTube Shorts, man, they are just a cancer for the YouTube app. They are just another TikTok built inside such a good app that we want to keep. Long form YouTube isn't perfect. A lot of the time, you can scroll out of boredom or scroll out of habit and just binge a bunch of videos that you don't want to. But I would say a lot of times that we're on this app, we're looking for something. We're looking for education or looking for a specific answer to a problem or something along those lines. And that's good, we want to keep that. YouTube Shorts on the other hand, we see an interesting video, we watch it, thinking it'd be the only one, but then we swipe. We just get stuck in a loop and poof, an hour goes by. But you know, speaking of the TikTok-esque brain rot, #1 app along with YouTube Shorts is TikTok. Mostly because this app is the doom scrolling, brain rotting, boredom scrolling king. If you're on TikTok, it's because you're like, I got no idea what I want to do. I'm kind of bored. Let me just scroll on TikTok. I don't know if anyone uses this app for good purposes. For the most part, there's maybe a few reasons why you'd want to use TikTok, but really you can just get it from other places. And if you really need to, you can use like the TikTok browser to see a video or two. All right, and the tier below that is going to be SNAPCHT, Snapchat. So Snapchat Spotlight, it's up there, but I don't got space to put it up there. Don't be using Snapchat Spotlight. But Snapchat's way of getting you on the social media when you're focused in and trying to do something else by people sending you snaps and messages, it's horrendous. You'll hear it later in the video, but Snapchat doesn't have to be your way of talking to people. So don't use that as an excuse. You'll hear why that's an excuse later. Next up is the Instagram. This one's also pretty bad. Just like, I didn't talk about this with Snapchat, even though I really should have. The story aspects of these apps just give you so much FOMO and so much anxiety over that and really waste a lot of your time. And Instagram Reels, while the comments can be edgy and funny, not worth it. The next is Facebook, which I'll put a little bit lower than Snapchat and Instagram. Put Facebook here because it's kind of turned into another Instagram, but a little better and with a lot more features. So probably shouldn't be on Facebook, but I know the WhatsApp feature is really important for a lot of people. So I think if you can keep the WhatsApp feature, but try to stay off the actual Facebook app, that's the best compromise. All right, down here is Reddit, and Reddit is really good if you're looking for a specific question. So definitely use Reddit if you have a specific question you need answering, but don't use the Reddit app just to scroll, because then it can turn into a lot of these other apps. But that use is really similar to YouTube. And then lastly, because I just need to fill in this triangle, we just put LinkedIn. LinkedIn's pretty important, helps you get professional connections. Don't know if anyone actually uses it to scroll, so I mean, I don't know. Maybe switch your TikTok time with LinkedIn time. Oh, and one I forgot, we got Mr. X himself up here. A unique app, pretty different from the rest of them, but similar problems to the rest of them, if I'm being honest. Just showing like terrible waste of time, you know, terrible memes that you really just want that time back, or super political stuff that just makes you angry and gives you anxiety. Not a good use of time. Once in a while, you can make an active decision to go on that app, but if you're doing it out of boredom, you're just gonna leave yourself with a lot of negative emotion you didn't want beforehand. So if you want a guide on what apps you should be removing, start with YouTube Shorts and TikTok, then move down to Snapchat, Instagram, and X, then get rid of Facebook, get rid of Reddit, keep LinkedIn, and then use your YouTube time well. Well, actually, let's talk about that. So YouTube is social media, that's for sure. It definitely is social media. Don't try to pretend like it isn't. It is social media. But its detrimental effects can be widely reduced if you know how to use it right, and you do use it right. If you go on hour-long binge sessions of 10-minute videos, you may want to delete the app. But if you watch YouTube or just listen to YouTube and take notes and try to learn, like for example, I've been doing this a lot with the Genetically Modified Skeptic YouTube channel. I'm trying to take some mental notes and also a few physical notes, but I've been pretty bad with that. I definitely need to improve with that. But a lot of the time, I'm not even watching his video, mostly because his video is boring, but his audio is really intriguing and goes at deeper questions that I have. Basically, try to be more mindful with your YouTubing. And if you see it's not working for you and you're using the app wrong, just be honest with yourself and delete the app and take a break from it like you do with all the other social media apps. So let me be for real with you. You're gonna feel a little lonely after deleting social media, at least for most people. I know for me, after I delete Snapchat, I definitely got a hit of loneliness. I would go from snapping like 20 different people a day and constantly getting like interaction and talking to my friends, even when I'm at my job around people I didn't like, to having a lot less notifications and having a lot less people talking to me. Of course, I assumed that people sending pictures of their ceilings was them talking to me. No, I actually always hated that. If I didn't see someone's face, that was pretty sad. But I realized I can still talk to all these people by getting their phone number. And then something that I had to realize, and something that you should realize, is that if someone won't give you their phone number, or you don't feel comfortable asking for their phone number, then are they truly a friend? Because maybe all this time you've just been talking to them because it gives you a social status increase, and it gives you an extra person to increase your Snap score. And you guys aren't really that close. Because close friends would talk to each other on messages. And if you wouldn't, then that's saying something about the friendship that you guys may or may not have. Your brain will feel like you're losing social status. But you also know in your head that messaging people that aren't truly your friends will not help you. So, the big question I had when I was quitting Snapchat is, what about women? So, I know so many bros that got on the Snapchat because they were talking to girls and they wanted to talk to girls. So what do you do about that? I don't want to be some dude just inside my cave with my computer playing Minecraft. I actually want to try to talk to women. So this is where you got to figure out what's more valuable to you. And if you can find a compromise in there that might be able to both allow you to talk to women and get off of social media. A quick idea I thought about when I was originally scripting this video was maybe you unfriend all the people that aren't girls that you're interested in. And then you have to use some willpower to not go onto the story tab where all those little Snapchat stories are. And you know, maybe you're good enough and you don't actually go on that. And you don't go on Spotlight, and I mean, maybe you can go on the Snap map, it's not really that bad. But you just use Snapchat to snap and talk to these women. You can remove everyone else that's just there to increase your score, because who really cares, bro? Like, who really cares? But that's for you to figure out, not me. Currently putting a towel on my chair because of all the water and ice on it. You guys seriously have to subscribe for all this effort I'm putting into a new scene. Dang, winter sucks, bro. Alright, now that everyone's on board with this, with absolutely zero reservations, now you must know what you should do when you inevitably start using social media apps again. And relapse. It's a funny word, isn't it? It's going to happen. Even people who have entire support groups where they go to a church for 2 hours, like on every Friday, to talk to people struggling with the same problem as them, they relapse. And it's not that relapsing is bad, but it's how you might react to relapsing that makes or breaks its effectiveness. You can either get mad at yourself, call it quits, be sad, be depressed, have anxiety, harp down on yourself and be real emotional about it. Or you can just take a step back and observe what happened. What caused that to happen? Why did I feel like doing that? What can I do to help mitigate this in the future? This recently happened to me when I was consistently going on Instagram, but not on the app. I deleted the app and had it deleted for like 1.5 years. But that didn't stop me from going to Chrome on the Instagram.com and looking at Instagram there. For a while, I was just struggling with it and getting mad at myself whenever I found myself back in the Instagram app. But when I actually stopped being angry about it and started trying to ask questions instead and think logically, and I asked Google, like, how can I ban certain websites? It was like, oh yeah, just go into screen time, go into privacy and restrictions, go to web and games, and then just go to limit adult websites and add Instagram to it. You tell me this whole time I could have been forcibly stopping myself from being on Instagram? by just clicking a few buttons in settings? That's one way I did it. But the most common reason that you're gonna relapse is gonna be from boredom. I know this is true of me. I know when I go into the bathroom or I eat food by myself or I'm in a line, the temptations to just go on my phone and to scroll on something, just do something, is super high. We just don't like doing nothing. And maybe you can say that in the line you have social anxiety and so that adds to it. But being in the bathroom or eating by yourself, that's just you being bored. And you need to be okay with being bored and doing nothing if you're gonna try to do a life without social media. Because social media is what keeps you constantly entertained and engaged 24/7. I actually just made an entire video about this pretty recently, about why it's good to do nothing sometimes, and how being bored and doing nothing is actually what it takes to restore your motivation and restore your dopamine levels to a healthy level. And it's a skill that you better start cultivating. So check that video out when you're done with this one. Now, holy crap, do you see how purple my hands are? We need to go inside. So when you walk away from this video, there's a couple things you need the answer to. Am I addicted? If no, you're either lying to yourself or you think I'm pretty entertaining or I speak facts. So I appreciate you if you're one of those. Am I ready to sacrifice? Which 1 or 2 apps am I deleting right now? Am I ready to cut off people that aren't really my friends? Am I ready to reflect and act logically when I relapse again? And am I ready to be bored? If you have the right answers to these questions, which you should know if you watch the full video, you're gonna do great. I'm sure of it. With enough time, you're gonna be able to do it. If you wanna know what you should start doing after you reduce your social media screen time, I made a whole Emmy-nominated video that you should check out right after this one, about how you can spend your free time better once you've deleted those apps. You can check out that video right here. And don't forget to delete the apps, be logical, and think better. I'll catch you over in this video right here.